Leading off the local and regional news tonight, reports of international baby selling may prevent some Minnesota families from adopting children. It's a complicated story that began overseas but is now reaching this country and Minnesota. Debbie Emblem has the story.
Tom Regan, Adoption Program Director of the Children's Home Society in St. Paul, is angry. The agency had hoped to place between 25 and 50 babies from India with Minnesota families this year. But since the London Daily Mail published a report on Sunday, the picture has changed.
Apparently, from what I've heard from the Associated Press picking up this London paper's article, they've made allegations about buying and selling. They've got their information all wrong. There was a lack of investigation. And I think they should retract publicly in just the same way that they printed this originally. I think they have an obligation to make restitution.
The report alleged that Americans for International Aid has sold Indian babies for $3,400 each. The organization is an escort service. Airline personnel volunteer to escort the children to the United States, and they use airline passes. The $3,400 fee the reporter quoted is the total adoption fee. That includes legal fees, $1,800 in medical expenses, and $900 in airfare for a child. But as a result of the article, the Indian government has suspended issuing passports for children destined for adoption.
I can't imagine my life without my two children, and the happiness and joy that they brought into our lives. And it makes me very, very sad to think that some parents now may be denied that because of irresponsible acts.
Debbie Vestley and her husband came to the Children's Home Society in St. Paul because they wanted to adopt. Daughter Sarah was at the International Mission of Hope, an agency based in India. She came to the United States a few years ago. 5-year-old David also came to the Vestleys through the International Mission of Hope. He's been in America 1 year.
Because this kind of incident is so insane, it should never have happened. If someone would have been honest and would have, sought the truth, they would have found it. That's what makes me angry. And also it makes me angry because of all the turmoil that it has caused in India. They pick up on the story, they hear this, they don't know what's going on, and it adds to the confusion.
Debbie works for the International Mission of Hope. She follows up on adopted Indian children and sends reports to India. She's afraid now that the Indian government will put a complete stop to the adoptions. The International Mission of Hope has filed suit against the London Daily Mail, and parents who have adopted Indian children are sending telegrams to India in hopes of resolving the confusion. Debbie Enblum, Channel 9 News.
Homeowners in Hennepin County can expect to get socked with another tax hike next year. In fact, the way things look now, it could be the biggest increase in county history. We get more on the story now from John McNichol.
If you have that average home, which next year is expected to be worth $62,000, your county tax would increase $35 if you lived in the city. If your average suburban home is worth $71,000 next year, your county tax would increase $45.
It's probably the largest property tax increase ever, but you're always going on a bigger base. So percentage-wise, it's not the biggest increase, but dollar-wise, it is probably the biggest increase ever.
Ackman and his staff prepared the proposal that is now up to the County Board of Commissioners to approve or change. Ackman said the reasons for the budget increases are inflation, a continued cutback in funds from the state and federal governments, and $11 million set aside for wage increases now being negotiated. Another reason is that county government provides the social services that are in greater demand during times of economic hardship, programs that the state mandates the county provide.
I would suggest it's probably under more strain because we have most of the mandated social and health programs, and those have to be provided, especially more so, I guess, in bad economic times.
The areas that get a high proportion of their funds from the property tax include the courts, the county attorney's office, and the sheriff's office. The budget recommendation also includes a cutback of 28 positions, and that, Ackman hopes, can be accomplished without any layoffs. One suggestion that will probably surface during the budget discussion is the sale of some Hennepin County property, such as this land between 6th and 7th on Portland. It is valued at more than $1.5 million. It should be reemphasized that the budget is still at the proposal stage. Hearings are scheduled for September, with the final budget due to be adopted in the first week of October. This is John McNichol for Channel 9 News in downtown Minneapolis.
There'd be a freeze on property tax relief under a plan unveiled today by IR gubernatorial candidate Wheelock Whitney. In an attempt to get Minnesota's economy back on track, Whitney proposes the following if elected: a freeze on state spending for 2 years, elimination of the 7% income surtax, but a 2-year extension of the 5% sales tax. And as I mentioned, a freeze on property tax relief and aid to local governments. IR opponent Lou Weinberg called the proposal ignorant. Striking blue and white taxi drivers and dispatchers met with company representatives today for the first time since the walkout began 9 days ago. The two sides got together at the Federal Mediation Office in Minneapolis. Dick Say, chairman of the Guild of Taxi Drivers Local 3025, says there are many issues still to be worked out.
Well, we're working on the same problems we went out on strike on, union security, the successor and assignments clause, the pension and health and welfares. We're working on some problems dealing with the grievance procedure. Those are just part of them. We have 22 proposals of our own the company hasn't even dealt with yet.
About 200 drivers and dispatchers are off their jobs. Meanwhile, the company's 4 mechanics have returned to work after a week of honoring the picket lines. Coming up tonight, changes are in store for a local TV station, and Warren Dahlstrom reports on the intense race for the coveted #1 position in the local FM radio ratings game.
Here's the mud monster of Miller Creek with new white jeans, new red t-shirt, and no dry bleach.
Oh, use mine, Jan.
Jan doesn't know she's getting Biz Bleach. Yes, bleach. It's a whole new way to think about Biz.
That's not my bleach. This bleach will get his muddy pants whiter than liquid bleach and clean his red shirt, too.
Biz is bleach, plus a combination of cleaners other bleaches don't have. So added with detergent, no bleach, dry or liquid, beats Biz All Fabric Bleach on muddy dirt.
Wow, really white. Color's bright, too. What was that bleach?
Biz bleach.
Biz is bleach?
Yep.
What do you know?
I know you'd better get some. Mud Monster's back.
Muddy dirt, discover Biz Bleach, and discover a clean whitewash.
If all we had to clean was one little spot of greasy dirt, most cleaners full strength would do. But greasy dirt gets everywhere, so I clean by the bucket with Top Job.
Well, now there's something better.
Are you kidding? I've tried ammonia and the leading pines, but when you clean by the bucket like I do, Top Job cleans the toughest greasy dirt better.
Now there's something better. New Top Job.
What's new?
How much better it dissolves greasy dirt, even mixed with water. New Top Job breaks up greasy dirt faster, and faster means New Top Job cleans better. So now, when you clean the toughest greasy dirt by the bucket...
Switch from pines or ammonia to New Top Job. Now its cleaning power holds up even better underwater.
A big change in the Twin Cities TV scene was announced today. Channel 11 has been bought by the nation's largest media company, Gannett Incorporated. The deal between the present owner, Metro Media, and Gannett must still be approved by the Federal Communications Commission. For more on what happens now and what it will mean to Twin Cities TV, here's Phelps Hawkins with a report.
Rumors of the pending sale have been around for several weeks now, but they really came to a head 2 weeks ago when senior executives from both Gannett and Metro Media suddenly turned up at WTCN studios in a big limo, took a walking tour of the studios for about half an hour, then jumped back into the limo and headed for the airport. Evidently, they liked what they saw. And that's not surprising. The ultra-modern WTCN headquarters in Golden Valley presents a nice package. Unfortunately, its performance has not lived up to that package. Twin Cities viewers seem to ignore Channel 11 in droves, and they have since it joined the NBC network, leaving independent status to Channel 9. But even successful NBC network programs do poorly at WTCN. NBC Nightly News gets less than half the audience share here as it does in the rest of the nation. The word from Gannett headquarters, a company founded in the news business, is that Channel 11 will have a significant community presence. That history in news is probably very important. Gannett owns 5 VHF TV stations, and at all of them takes its news very seriously. It would seem a safe bet that News Center 11 will get lots more money, staff changes, and more people. But any changes are not expected until early March, or perhaps as far away as next July. Then the currently rather soporific TV news scene here in the Twin Cities may get some new life in it. I'm Phelps Hawkins, Channel 9 News.
Well, the school year begins next Monday for some 38,000 Minneapolis students. Things will be different this year. A number of the city's public schools have closed or merged over the summer as part of a new 5-year reorganization plan. And today, school employees, mostly teachers, held a kickoff ceremony at the Minneapolis Auditorium. Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Richard Green, spoke about the coming year, and he thanked teachers for their support during the last school session.
But last year, where critical decisions were being addressed at higher administrative levels, you managed the schools very well. I don't mean to say we didn't have a problem, but there was not a major crisis in the school system last year. And I owe you a vote of thanks for making the schools work and for giving us the space to think and plan and expand.
A federal judge has refused to dismiss a lawsuit filed against the Riley Tar and Chemical Company for alleged groundwater contamination in St. Louis Park. The company wanted the suit thrown out on the grounds that the contamination does not create an emergency. The judge said that unless preventive measures are taken, drinking water in Minneapolis and St. Paul might also be contaminated. Coming up, Warren Dahlstrom will tell us how much rain we got today and a report on the Twin Cities population pushing past the 2 million mark.
The new Subaru Brat has sleek, aerodynamic lines.
Just tell them it's good looking.
Front and on-demand four-wheel drive.
Say it can climb.
A Halo twin roof.
It's a window.
And it's engineered to withstand the elements.
That means it's tough.
The new Subaru Brat, inexpensive and built to stay that way.
Visit Towsley Subaru or St. Cloud Subaru.
Plywood Minnesota. Get great savings during our August inventory clearance sale. Save on Americana kitchen cabinets. At 40% off list, a 14-foot kitchen is now just $596. A great selection of jute back and pre-padded carpet is $296 to $796 a square yard. Pre-finished paneling as low as $299 a panel. Choose from thousands of rolls of wallpaper. Buy 3 and get 1 free. Great bargains through Tuesday, August 31st at Plywood, Minnesota.
There's so much to love at the fair. That farm-fresh feeling of the early morning. The magic of unexpected surprises. And the fun of getting out with your whole gang. That's what makes the great Minnesota get-together, well, great.
There's a lot to love at the fair. So much fun and excitement that fills the air.
Strike up the band, love. There's music, horse shows, races, rides, and rodeos, antique cars, pickle jars, fireworks, and grandstand stars, circus thrills, machinery hill, those famous fair foods, and a whole lot more. So come on, Minnesota, fall in love with your fair and have a summer fling with fun.
Love is in the air at the fair.
August 26th through Labor Day.
Love is in the air.
Well, we've reached a milestone in the Twin Cities. Our population in the metro area is now over 2 million people. Surprisingly, the increase comes at a time when more people are moving out than in. The 7-county region is growing, but it's far from a rapid pace. According to a survey by the Metropolitan Council, since 1980, our population has jumped a mere 1/8%. Not much, but enough to put us over the 2 million mark. Both Minneapolis and St. Paul saw their populations drop a little, while communities like Plymouth and Eagan experienced an increase. Despite the overall growth of the metro area, more people are moving out of the region than in.
I would assume job opportunities in other parts of the country would be a factor. We do have a well-educated population here, and I presume a lot of them, are going elsewhere looking for jobs. You also have the factor of maybe people who are retired or almost retired moving to a lake area.
Both Hennepin and Ramsey counties suffered small population losses. No problem, though, in Dakota County, now considered the fastest growing area in the Twin Cities. Some of the older suburbs like Richfield and Edina are seeing small numbers of residents leaving, while the city of Eagan is booming. Its population jumped by almost 3,000 people in 2 years. Researchers say new highways to the city and its location near the airport have been major factors, and they expect the trend to continue.
We opened the Cedar Avenue Bridge, for one thing. You're going to have the 494 bridge open. And the proximity of northern Dakota County to the airport, there's no place closer, really, with commercial land available outside of East Bloomington. So you're going to see that area. It's really going to grow commercially, industrially, and residentially.
Well, we finally got some rain to speak of, Mr. Dahlstrom. Are we going to get any more soon?
Yes, we did, Mr. Valiant. We did get about an inch of rain up here in the Twin Cities. Down in the southeast corner of the state where they really needed a lot of rain, we received about 1.5 inches in some spots, so that was good news for them. It wasn't all the rain that we needed, and we're not going to see any more except for the northern part of the state in the next couple of days at least. Let's take a look at what we have currently here in our Twin Cities right now. Right now in the Twin Cities, we have partly cloudy skies and 65 degrees, or about 18 degrees Celsius. Winds are out of the northwest at 6 miles per hour. If we take a look at things from the satellite tonight, we can see most of the precipitation-bearing cloud cover has moved out of the state and into Wisconsin and on to the east. The view of the day-long national satellite loop shows that movement of a surface low-pressure area, which is now moving into Illinois. We can expect the state skies to become clear to partly cloudy behind all of the rain that we had this morning. A cold front in northern Minnesota could cause a few showers across the north, while a cold front moves into northern Minnesota, or southern Minnesota, excuse me, causing a few scattered showers across the state. But again, most of that action is going to be in the northern portion. Overnight, we can expect low temperature readings, continuing a cooling trend, with readings in the 40s, 50s, some readings in the 60s to the south. And tomorrow, the high temperatures will continue below normal, with highs in the 60s and 70s north to south. Here's the forecast from the National Weather Service for the Twin Cities. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy skies and cool temperatures. The lows will drop into the mid-50s. Tomorrow, variable cloudiness with about a 20% chance of showers, and we'll have highs in the mid-70s. And for Thursday, the opening day of the State Fair, we'll see little change, variable cloudiness, with highs in the mid-70s. So things look pretty good for the opening of the State Fair.
All right, sounds good, Warren. We'll look forward to that. Thanks a lot. Still to come tonight, Jim Gilliland with highlights of the Twins' win over the Yankees and a look at the Gophers as they prepare for a new season.
I love beautiful hair. Making it beautiful is the art of my profession. Yet there are women who perm beautifully at home with lilt. You see, the key is in the roll-up. A bad roll-up shows frizzes. A good roll-up, beautiful curls. Only Lilt has these amazing sponges. They grip better, roll up better for more beautiful hair. Lilt sponges help you roll up so professionally. It even makes me a little jealous.
Lilt's professional touch. Beautiful.
That's Mr. Roger Elmore. He manages the grocery store, and he manages the Little League team. But when it comes to managing money, well, he needs help. Just like you and me. So he goes to his full-service bank to get the services and the experience that'll help him manage his money right. Folks living here in the middle of America know no one does more for you and your money than your full-service bank.
A pitcher's duel in the Big Apple tonight. Native son Frank Viola, who hails from Hampstead, New York, and attended St. John's University, returned home to dazzle the Yankees and Tommy John and the stadium patrons with his big curveball. The final score, 5-0 for the Twins shutout for young Frank. We go to the highlights. No scoring until the 7th inning. The Twins finally pecked away at Tommy John and got a run. Lenny Faedo, who has been getting some timely hits in his brief appearances at shortstop, knocks one to left. Winfield with a shot to get him at the plate, but some bad communication there between Nettles and Cerrone. The ball goes wildly away, and Tim Laudner scores the first run. John Castino then punches one through the right side. In comes Faedo. It was 2-0 after 7. Top of the 8th, Gary Ward, the team leader in home runs, extends his total to 22. Bad play by the policeman here, and it is 3-0 Twins. More insurance in the 9th. Castino's 6th into the left field seats just inside the foul line. But Viola didn't need much help tonight. He was extremely sharp. He struck out 8 batters, including our old friend Roy Smalley on that one in the 9th inning. He got Nettles on a pop-out to end the game. A masterful job. He gave up just 6 hits and walked 1 batter, as Herbig calls it in for the final out. And the fans behind the dugout, Viola must have purchased about 25, 30 tickets tonight because they were sure whooping it up for the young left-hander. Twins 5-0 over the Yankees. Baltimore got a grand slam from Joe Nolan in the 10th and beat Toronto 7-3. Elsewhere, Ricky Henderson steals 2 bases to tie, or to come within one, rather, of Lou Brock's all-time record of 118, but he was nailed once. That's the 39th time he's been caught, and that breaks Ty Cobb's record set in 1915. The White Sox are in trouble again, Cleveland leading them 13-5 now in the 6th. They had a long rain delay there. Elsewhere, Kansas City's John Wathan stole his 31st. That's an all-time record for a catcher, and they lead Texas 5-3 in the 8th, trying to gain on California. They're 2 back of the Angels, who trail Milwaukee 1-0 in the 2nd. Milwaukee with a 5-game lead over Boston, and the Red Sox have an early lead over Seattle. In the National League, Los Angeles beat St. Louis tonight 5-2, but everything remains the same because Atlanta also defeated Philadelphia. So L.A. and Atlanta tied. Philly still trailing St. Louis by 3. Montreal 5-1 over Cincinnati. Elsewhere, San Diego and Pittsburgh were playing in extra innings. That score is 4-4 in the 11th. Houston 5-4 over the Mets. And the Cubs this afternoon defeated San Francisco 8-4. In other baseball news, Gaylord Perry is so incensed about being ejected for throwing a spitter last night against Boston that he is protesting the $250 fine and told League President Lee McPhail that in a telegram today. It marked the first time in his 21-year career that he has been removed from the game for throwing his now very famous pitch. Little news from the Vikes training camp in Mankato today. Coach Bud Grant did say, however, that new noseman Charlie Johnson could see some action in the upcoming game with Denver. There was some news today, though, from some old Vikings, the ones who are putting together the alumni golf tournament that takes place next Monday. Paul Flatley brings us up to date.
We have a number of good players coming in. Our theme, since it's our first tournament, is the early years, and we are bringing back some players that were a part of those early Viking years, and specifically Norm Van Brocklin and Hugh McElhenney, Tommy Mason, Rip Hawkins will all be here, along with Dick Knight Train Lane of the Detroit Lions. And then, of course, a lot of the local yokels will be here, like Lertzema and Brown and Krause and myself and so on and so forth. But we hope to have, and think we will have by game day, Monday, August 30th, 36 fivesomes. And the big payoff here in this tournament, it's a 18-hole handicapped scramble shotgun. And the winning team, and there's one score kept per team, the winning team will go to Hilton Head, South Carolina, October 23rd to represent our chapter in the Super Bowl of golf, which will be against all the winning teams from the other 21 chapter tournaments. So we think it's going to be a fun day to reminisce with some of the old pros, and I can almost assure you that some of the war stories that will resurface next Monday will be worth listening to.
That's the number if you want to call Paul Flatley, get in on the tournament, and the proceeds do not go to the Alumni Fund, they go to Special Olympics, a very worthy cause. 2-a-day practices continued for the Gophers today as they get ready for the 82 football season. The opener in the Dome against Ohio University is still 2.5 weeks away on September 11th. There's a brand new carpet behind the Bierman building where there used to be a grass field. The reason, of course, is that the Gophers will play their home games at the Metrodome this fall, so they wanted to work out on the same stuff in practice. Last year, the Gophers' offense was very potent, but drawn from that unit are receivers Chester Cooper and Ron Weckbecker and tackles Ken Dalafiore and Wally Kirsten. Remaining, however, is quarterback Mike Hohensee, number 9, who broke all the team's passing records last year, and the senior is aware that most eyes will be focusing on him.
Yeah, I feel a little pressure. You know, last year I came in, I broke a few records, but that was with a different team. I have different receivers this year. I have a few different linemen. And it's a different game this year. We'll be throwing quite a bit, so whatever happens, happens.
I want to ask you about the receivers. I know Jay Carroll's back at tight end, but the wideout guys are going to be different. How long will that take to develop a feel? I guess there'll be quite a bit of competition among them just to see who you'll be throwing to the first couple weeks.
I don't think it's going to take that long at all. Right now, a few of them are standing out already. Dwayne McMullen's really catching the ball well. He's made a few great catches in the last couple days. Joe Vigil, a transfer from my junior college, really looked good. And Nick Davison's coming off a good knee injury. And like you said, Jay Carroll's coming back, and we have backs coming out of the backfield, and Alan Reed and Tony Hunter are doing a really good job.
And Jeff, the Gophers, who had so many injuries last spring, today lost starting guard Randy Rasmussen to a stress fracture. They'll check that injury again in 10 days to see how serious it is.
All right, good luck to the Gophers. Thanks, Jim. Coming up, a special report on the impact of satellites on small-town radio stations. And Warren Dahlstrom shows us a radio station that is running hard to be #1 in the big city.
Save money and save space on sale-priced shelves during Menards Anniversary Sale. Shelf boards for every purpose up to 16 feet long. Steel shelving on sale. Multi-purpose Shelf Plus on sale at Menards. Our best ready-to-finish adjustable decorative shelving on sale starting at just $1.77. Come on, get organized. Add shelves for just $1.77 each during Menards Anniversary Sale.
Save big money at Menards.
You've got a lot riding on this letter, and you're going to hand it over to the post office? Federal Express has an alternative.
Right now, at Dayton's semi-annual home sale, you'll find almost everything you'd want for your home. Your favorite colors, styles, and all at prices you can't afford to miss.
Satellites have revolutionized communications from long-distance phone calls to television. But now the new technology may change the music and programming we listen to on our radios. Felicia Jeter takes us behind the scenes for a special two-part series on the future of satellite radio.
We're in a television control center here in Hollywood. The pictures you're seeing behind me on the monitors are being beamed to a satellite more than 22,000 miles in space and then to you. Now, television via satellite is nothing new, but in control rooms like this one all over, they're making way for something that is new. Satellite radio.
Live via satellite.
Satellite radio delivers national live shows where you can phone in questions to your favorite star. Round-the-clock talk shows featuring big-time national experts. More live concerts of all types, many simulcast on TV, and 24-hour-a-day music networks. They're able to turn even the smallest local station into a big-sounding, high-fidelity window on the world. Relatively inexpensive satellite distribution comes at a welcome time. Last year, at least a third of the 9,000 radio stations in the United States lost money. Payroll costs were up, advertising revenue down, and the long-distance phone lines that traditionally connect stations to the radio networks are getting more expensive. If a local station gets a satellite receiving dish, it can pluck a wide array of national programs right out of the sky.
What the listener's going to get out of it is the advantage of being able to hear things they never could have heard before, not because it was technically impossible, but because it was economically impossible.
Not everyone in radio is sure satellites are so important. National producer Norm Pattis is one of them.
It certainly doesn't live up to the, to the statements that are being made by a lot of people in the radio business about satellite, being the, the next hula hoop. I think what it's probably going to be is the Nehru jacket of the 80s.
While all types of radio shows are already bouncing off satellites, there's been no stampede by local stations to broadcast them to you. If and when they do, some industry veterans worry that local radio will be a lot less local. We'll take a closer look at that debate in our next report. I'm Felicia Jeter in Hollywood.
In the Twin City radio market, there has always been strong competition among the many stations. Traditionally, though, WCCO has topped the pack, with the rest vying for the number 2 spot. Now, WLOL-FM, which began broadcasting way back in the 30s, has suddenly bolted into ratings contention with the leaders. Warren Dahlstrom takes a look.
99.5 FM, WLOL. It's 4:53, 74 degrees and mostly sunny in the cities. I'm Tack Hammer. Got another 10 songs in a row coming up next.
At 99.5 on the FM band, WLOL is making its mark in a market overloaded with radio stations. WLOL suddenly is finding itself a solid number 3 in listenership ratings in the Twin Cities, and following closely second-ranked KSTP-FM and the longtime Twin Cities leader, WCCO-AM. Their sudden movement toward the top of the heap makes one question why.
There's 3 P's: product, positioning, and promotion. And we did what I call fill the hole in the marketplace. There was a void that was there, and we filled the hole. A large number of people, of audience, that we discovered that were unhappy. They were one station was too soft and one was too hard, and so we went up right between the two of them to fill the hole.
The big guns here at WLOL are John Hines and Bob Berglund, on in that important morning shift. As a matter of fact, it's in this chair and this microphone that Bob Berglund sits each day. John Hines sits in the other room. The two of them, they say, got together pretty much by accident.
Felt it was worth a try, so we basically threw them together and tried to see what would happen. And they gelled very well.
Using heavy promotion on television, WLOL is urging listeners to try their bright, fast morning team.
So don't miss this dashing, dynamic duo that is Breakthrough Radio. Hines and Berglund, mornings on Music Radio 99.5 FM WLOL.
And when the two of them gel, you've got a station that sounds consistent and is fun to listen to. And the whole concept of the radio station is around that fact that we're bringing back some fun into radio again. It's fun to listen to, the personalities are up and bright, and so is all the music.
In a market where 30 radio stations are vying for those precious rating points, WLOL has always been somewhere in the middle of that muddle of stations. Now, however, things have changed. With new voices and its new format, WLOL is climbing, and climbing fast. And Doyle Rose, its program director, says that toppling the WCCO giant may just be within the realm of possibility. For Channel 9 News, I'm Warren Dahlstrom in St. Paul.
Well, that's going to do it for Primetime News for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow night, right after the baseball game. Good night.
For an up-to-the-minute look at the latest news stories of the day, tune in the midday edition every weekday at noon. Now, stay tuned for the best in comedy on Saturday Night Live, next on Channel 9. Save this week at Ron Saxon Ford during their factory-authorized clearance sale. Ron Saxon Ford has 12 1982 Bronco 4x4s in stock, and they must be sold during this factory-authorized clearance. This week, Ron Saxon has Ranger pickups just $5,999 with a Ford certificate. Also, 1982 Bivouac conversion vans as low as $15,999. Save at Ron Saxon Ford during this factory-authorized clearance sale, 225 University Avenue, St. Paul.
Strong, protective, flexible and heatable. Reynolds Wrap. The aluminum foil you can count on for Reynolds Wrap quality. If it's worth wrapping, it's worth Reynolds Wrap. The good food wrap.
Daniel is 4 years old. Today he learned to count his toes. Tomorrow he'll discover his books and learn his ABCs. Over the next 17 years, Daniel will learn all the important lessons the world has to teach. Or he could learn God's truth. There is a difference and a choice. Watch Dr. D. James Kennedy, Sundays at 8:30 a.m.
KMSP TV, Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Congratulations, Governor. Great speech. I think you really came across as a leader.
Oh, yeah. Golden meat. Part of this good, nutritious breakfast.
Try those golden grams and have a golden day.
Wishbone took the fresh taste of real sour cream and made it
delicious.
New Wishbone sour cream dressings, each perfectly blended as only Wishbone can. For a fresh, light, sour cream taste that's better than delicious.
Delicious.
3 new Wishbone sour cream dressings with buttermilk, bacon, or Italian herbs. You know Wishbone makes them
Delicious.
How did Bob Wagner freeze out Natalie Wood's mother? Inquiring minds want to know.
I want to know.
What are the on-the-scene details of Henry Fonda's heroic last hours? This week's National Enquirer tells you. Can you become allergic to the food you eat every day? Does this suburban Arizona couple come from outer space?
It's in the Enquirer.
Now who's riding on Farrah Fawcett's romantic merry-go-round? Find out in the Enquirer. Over 100 features for people with inquiring minds.
Like me.
Empire Strikes Back, a great movie. Now a great video game. A movie which challenged your imagination. Now a video game where the challenge never ends. You saw Luke Skywalker battle the Imperial Walkers. Now bring the battle home. The Force was with Luke Skywalker. Will it be with you? Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back video game. For your Atari and Sears video game systems from Parker Brothers, the ones to beat.
Coca-Cola says it's the real thing. But Pepsi-Cola believes that when it comes to colas, the only real thing is taste. That's why the Pepsi Challenge has been asking thousands of people across the country to let their own taste decide. And the fact is, nationwide, more people prefer the taste of Pepsi over Coca-Cola. Pepsi.
Pepsi. Pepsi.
I like Pepsi a lot better.
Pepsi tastes better.
Taste, that's the real thing. So take the Pepsi Challenge and let your taste decide.
You can have longer, stronger, natural nails with the Lee Professional Nail Strengthener Kit, a two-step salon system with tough nylon fibers. Brush Lee Strengthener across nails. Then apply a second coat lengthwise to build a network of nylon fibers to protect weak nails as they grow longer naturally. Finish with Lee Ridge Filler for salon smoothness. Grow longer, stronger, natural nails. Lee Professional Nail Strengthener Kit.
At these fine stores.
How good are Van de Kamp's fish sticks? People prefer them 2 to 1 over the leading breaded brand.
Gregory, are you making all gone with your fish? All gone.
Frank!
Ah, Janet Burkhalter, what a pleasure to see you.
Yes, what is going on here, Colonel? First, your man